Blessings. Hello, everyone. It's been a good minute since I've been on here and shared, and I've had such a beautiful couple of weeks, and really am feeling in such a beautiful place. Really feel like I find myself on fresh soil and surrounded very much by light and a peace that I haven't known. So I want to share, the journey, these pivotal shifts that have happened for me that have helped me to get to where I am now. And in hopes, of course, like I always share, in hopes that this might connect with another human being, with another soul that might be struggling in the same or similar way that I am, because we are all reflections of one another. And what I have done to help me get past those obstacles. And hopefully those become tools for you to help you along your way as well. So, I've really, really, truly been connecting with my instruments. Really, truly connecting with using them as tools, as a source of energy, of exchange of energy. And at least when I play instruments, it's almost like a Rubik's Cube, or when you're playing Tetris, you know how you have to move things around so they can fit into place. So very much when I play different musical instruments, they all kind of come together depending on who I'm doing a sound journey for. I've been blessed and honored to do a few sound journeys in person for people. And I've also done private video ones for those that have reached out for me. And I've been really busy, and I've been kept really busy. And I do these and I offer these for free. First, because I am of humble service to the collective. I feel that right now during this pause, I have the opportunity and the ability to help those that may need it, that find themselves struggling, and we're all struggling on different levels. And if I could help in any way, it's such an honor and a privilege. But also I am benefiting. I'm benefiting because I'm learning to use my tools and my craft. I'm honing in and perfecting it. And there is, what I have learned through this process also is I know what my purpose is, and I know what brings me true joy. My purpose is truly to help other people, those that find themselves struggling in similar ways that I have in my life. Any of those that are dealing with shadow work and trying to navigate through that. Those that are finding the courage and the bravery to finally find their voice and stand in their truth and speak their truth. And so it's such an honor and a privilege. And there is something that fills me in a way that nothing else that I've ever experienced in this life fills me, in that sense that I feel the closest to God, the closest to source, to energy, to all that binds and connects us. Because we are all truly reflections of one another. And there is something so humbling and sacred and holy when two souls really connect from a pure and authentic place. And now I know what that feels like. Like I will never be confused or deceived by anything else, because I understand now that true connection when people are coming from such a true and honest and raw place, and what healing and transformation for all involved, what can happen in that space. It's just something that is beyond words. And so I find true joy and pleasure, and it is an honor and a gift that I could serve others in that way, and to know that that I could help, even if it's for those 30 or 60 minutes that I'm providing them with a sound journey. Just that alone is enough for me to know that I've brought them some type of joy or relief, or some tools to help them along the way. It's really beautiful experience. So I'm really honing in on that, and how I figured that out, and how I got to where I am right now is that, I had that experience with that professional person, that we became kind of sort of friends, and that toxic codependency that I very much participated in didn't allow me to really grow and evolve. And it wasn't until I severed myself from that for the first time I found myself truly alone, truly with no crutch, no security blanket, nothing, just me, myself, raw and naked, and having to now soothe myself and comfort myself and reassure myself when I found myself plummeting, when I found myself deep and thick in a panic attack, and anxiety and fear. And when I went into shadow and not really knowing how to find my way back, because I had always depended on this other person to help me find my way back. I didn't have enough courage to do that on my own. And then here I found myself there. Thank goodness. Because in the process of, and it was hard, I'm not going to say it was easy, it was extremely difficult, because I spent most of September and the beginning part of October really finding myself crippled in fear. Like I would be okay and fine, and then I would plummet, and I would be in a corner in a fetal position crying, like, what am I going to do with myself? What is, I don't know which way to go. Just literally overwhelmed by everything, not just with what's happening in the world, with COVID, with our political status, with everything that's happening in the world, but mostly what was happening internally with me, and all of these shifts and changes that were happening, that all of a sudden I, felt crippled at that moment, that I had to find the strength to pull myself from there. Because where I found myself often, and I could look back and realize I did this often, is I would have a panic attack or anxiety, and I would literally close myself off in the physical sense, sometimes in bed, because often it would manifest into physical pain too. If anybody knows how the human body works, I'm already sick, with my physical illnesses. And so when I would have a panic attack, or when I would be riddled with fear and I would plummet, that would trigger my physical responses, and that would turn into pain for me. So it was easy for me to lay in bed and close myself off and feel, and I would be sitting in that thickness and that heaviness of everything that weighted down on me. And I would be there for days, and if it was really bad, sometimes weeks. And when I found myself now alone and not being able to call someone to help me slowly find my way back, I was like, how am I going to do this now? Because I don't have anybody to call to tell me everything's going to be okay and fine and give me reassurance, and then that plummet up and down. Here I was plummeted, and I was deep, and I didn't know how to find my way out. And then I said to myself, something said to me, go and play an instrument. And I could not get out of bed. I could not do it. It was so hard. And it was that annoying voice that finally, through physical and emotional pain, went and got an instrument and played it. And I remember it was a rattle that I took, and I was rattling it. I found myself rattling it really, really hard. And I was like physically replicating what was happening in my mind and in my body, physically replicating that, and just shaking it violently, and realizing it, that all of a sudden there was this, instead of it being like this big, thick, dark, molten lava inside of me that was clogging me, I found it breaking apart, going through my arm and my hand and my fingers, just really finding its way and breaking apart with that rattling noise. And I found comfort in that. And in the beginning, like I said, it was hard. I'd go back to bed, but all of a sudden now I had this alternative, like, hey, Inez, you're feeling really bad right now, but if you got up and you did something, you played an instrument, you found movement, you went and worked on wood, something to engage you, it will help you break the cycle. And slowly I found that it did do that. And even though I find so much pleasure and joy in woodworking and in movement, really connecting with my instruments and seeing within myself what those instruments were doing for me. When I would do the sound bowl, how it would vibrate within me. When I did the Tibetan bowls, the wind chimes, all of these different instruments, now I was feeling within my own body what that was doing for me. And I realized, like, wow, if this is doing this for myself, imagine if I offer this to those that are in need, because now I know how it affects our body. And doing research and understanding, of course, like most of you know, our bodies are made of mostly water, and how that vibration and that frequency, those high pitch, like 457, those different numbers on what we hit those pitches when we're doing sound bowls or anything like that, how it affects our bodies and our brain waves and everything else. Like once we get into that zone where our minds are no longer involved or engaged, what all those sounds and vibrations could do for us. And I've been able to implement that and see if it does work with another, and it does, and it's beautiful. People have purged and cried, and it is such a sacred, like I said, holy experience for both of us, connecting soul to soul, spirit to spirit, and allowing that vulnerability to open up that space to really allow for a connection to happen, so that we're both, our spirits, our spirit tribes are both working together to create the necessary vibrations and sounds that are needed for you to heal, for someone to heal, so, or at least to unclog them in some way. So yeah, that is how I found my way out of my panic and anxiety attacks, where I find myself now in a very peaceful, quiet place. I'm becoming a little more comfortable with this not knowing and this unfamiliar space, and finding curiosity here now, and feeling, like I said, really safe, which is a really big thing for me, and knowing that I'm okay. Everything's okay. Everything that I have control over, everything that I can do to better myself in any way, I am putting all of my effort into. For me, it's sound journey, movement, educating myself, reading up on things that will help me expand and grow and understand myself, my complex PTSD on a deeper level, understanding codependency, understanding when we're trying to break free of all that conditioning, all of those experiences that have kind of molded us, and how to kind of create that blank slate for ourselves and give ourselves permission to be happy, to be okay, to feel safe, and to take ownership and control of that in that sense. And so I'm really finding that to be beneficial. And of course, the connections with my children and deep conversations with them, and those beautiful and humbling experiences when I could have it with another human being outside of my children. So, and it's just finding something that brings you joy, something, and it could be singing, it could be working with woodwork, it could be some kind of arts or crafts or sculpting, it could be working out, it could be doing yoga, chanting mantras, anything that could help you grow and expand, and especially anything that allows you to learn and to fall in love with yourself, to fall in love with things that bring you joy and happiness, and do it not from a place of guilt or anything like that, feeling guilty constantly about what other people might think or what other people's expectations are, all those things. That's the kind of guilt I'm talking about. But feeling good about doing things that bring you joy, and that it's okay, you have permission to do that. And that when we align ourselves, to who we authentically and truly are, that we are then positioning ourselves in the right course to get to where we need to go. And ultimately, for most of us, hopefully, that is to find our purpose in this world. And there is something for everyone. There's people who love being mechanics and working on cars. There's people who love servicing others. There's there's people who find joy in doing accounting and being a lawyer. It's different for everyone. And whatever it is that brings you passion and joy, that gets you up in the morning and says, wow, I get to do today what I love doing. Find that. And I know that a lot of us, we have bills to pay. We live in the real world. It's not all about doing what just brings us joy. We have to pay the bills. Absolutely. Some of us have to work in jobs that we don't like, that doesn't bring us joy, that kind of drains us. But that's an even more of a reason that when you are on your own, when you are not working that draining job, that you fill yourself up with things that bring you joy and happiness. Because the more you align yourself, again, with your authentic self, the more it aligns you with people in your path that could help you to grow and expand in your true self, in what authentically brings you happiness and joy. It's just the way life works. That we can sacrifice and we could do what is required of us to live in this middle world, to engage and participate. But those free times that we have on our own, even when we're depressed, actually especially when we're depressed and when we're stuck and when we're in a rut, that we force ourselves, even if it's just for 5 minutes, of writing affirmations for yourself. I was just telling this to a sister, taking sticky notes and writing affirmations and quotes and things that remind you of who you are. Write yourself a love note. Tell yourself you love yourself and affirm yourself in those sticky notes and put them in random places all over your house that you're going to forget about. In the medicine cabinet, in the refrigerator, in the freezer, somewhere in the cupboard, like 3 macaroni and cheese is back, so that when you do find yourself in a rut and in a hard place, and if you are like me, when we are depressed and when we are struggling, we get stuck right there, and that becomes all of our reality. My fears, my anxiety, my insecurities, all of that becomes my reality and my truth, and I forget everything else. That becomes my world with which I live in. And sometimes opening up a cupboard and finding that sticky note snaps me out of it and says, wait, this is my reality, not all these ugly and gucky feelings. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you. Again, know that I do sound journeys. It would be a privilege and an honor to serve anyone who might need it. I have a very COVID-friendly home. I have outdoor space that we could do it in, and I am more than happy to do a video for you that is unique and specific for you, and know that I'm here to serve the collective, and it's an honor and a privilege. Okay, have a good evening. Bye.